Hey, and welcome to this CEDIA Expo session about integrating water solutions into today's smart home. I'm Arlen Schweiger of CE Pro, and we have a great group of panelists here today that really represent the wide-ranging possibilities of this, what we're going to call generally a smart water, integrated water category today. I want to first off thanks to our sponsor, Kohler. And from Kohler today, we have Shane Alice, who is Director of Marketing and Business Development, Smart Home Solutions at Kohler. And Shane's going to talk about how that venerable manufacturer is addressing the custom channel. Going from there, we have Michael Don Ham, who is Principal of Repure, which focuses on the integrated healthy home and water purification in the wellness trend, among other things. And we also have Eric Bernal, of Principal of Elite Water Systems, which does water treatment, leak detection, and much more. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Let's dive right in and have our panelists provide a brief introduction. Shane, let's start with you in terms of if you can tell us about some of the smart home water solutions that Kohler provides in this category.
Yeah, thanks, Arlen. Kohler has a long history of delivering innovative water experiences, and we view connectivity as really being a key enabler to deliver new experiences and valuable use cases to the consumer. This can range from a fantastic digital showering experience in our DTV Plus to connected water filtration, voice control kitchen faucets, as well as whole home leak technology. We're really covering a lot of territory with our smart solutions. And of course, there's always a lot in the pipeline as well.
Fantastic, Shane. And we know that Kohler always, whenever we see these products in action at shows or even just still images, they're, some really dazzling products, especially in the kitchen and bath sector, which we know coming from covering it on CE Pro, we're having, more ties to the KBIS community, the KBB people that, also work with NKBA. And, just really, it's a very interesting opportunity for integrators these days to get into and really expand that portfolio. And certainly anyone who's, owned a home or worked with homeowners know that, really the most important place in the homes for renovations are the kitchen and bath. And so, definitely a great segue there. Michael, let's move over to you. If you could tell us about Repure and what you are offering and how you got into this.
Hi, nice to see you again, Arlen, and pleasure to be on this panel with Shane and Eric. Just to give you a little background, being in the smart home industry for about close to a decade, really we had a focus on wellness, and a lot of the products and integrated solutions were lacking, if you can imagine, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But a lot innovation has happened, and we're at a point where just like with your security, entertainment, energy efficiency, wellness now can also integrate extremely seamlessly into the smart home environment. And one thing is when we talk about air quality and water quality, it's invisible. So to be able to use this technology to make it visible, putting the focus on the health of the home occupants, that's really where wellness tech has evolved to. And I'm excited to speak more about it today with Shane and Eric.
Great. And Michael, I know you mentioned kind of nice to talk to me again. We met each other at the Total Tech Summit, the CE Pro Summit a couple of years ago on a similar panel, and just really impressive stuff that you were doing. And you're absolutely right. This is not a category where you can kind of show it off like a home theater system with sort of the invisible things, but it is a very just a growing trend that we're seeing all the time. And I know you're going to walk us through some really interesting solutions that you guys have that really, I know, fit in with kind of the luxury clientele that a lot of integrators work with, but also have with a variety of budgets. Eric, it's great for you to join us as well in terms of what you guys are doing at Elite Water Systems. Again, kind of a range of things. What can you tell us about the company, how long you've been in business, and how you got into this category?
Sure. I've been in business now for 15 years. It was spurred out of a natural disaster in New Orleans with Hurricane Katrina. And it really motivated me. I was in the elevator business at that time. And being down there, we didn't have access to clean water, and there was big trucks purifying water from the Mississippi River, providing this clean water. And there was a big sign up there that said microbiologically safe water. From that point forward, it just started to drive me. I started to wonder, and my parents have been in the restaurant business for over 36 years. So water is a key ingredient to the end product. So from that time forward, I did a lot of research. I got involved in the water business. I opened up a brick and mortar in San Antonio, Texas, which is where I am now. And from that point forward, I wanted to make sure that builders had access to a integrated solution that was created specifically for the sub-market, being the zip code, what kind of water quality is going in there, and truly customizing a solution down to that kind of granular level. So now consumers are able to understand what kind of water quality is coming into their home and what kind of water quality is leaving their filtration system, so that they have a greater experience. And I also educate the builder on how water affects indoor air quality, because it does massively. So from the production market, we got into the ultra luxury because these folks are extremely intelligent and have a lot of bandwidth, but they didn't have a true water treatment partner to get as granular as we can get. So from that point forward, I've met folks like Don Hammond. It's a pleasure being here with Shane as well, because what these guys are doing affects the total experience of the consumer and the wellness of any space.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to definitely hearing more about the experiences that you've been having, especially from a standpoint of being based down in Texas. I mean, we hear all the time from dealers in the Texas market, and it sounds like it's certainly the home building market down there is just bonkers right now, and lots of opportunities. So just
Sure.
in terms of hearing more about how you're working with them should be very fascinating. Shane, let's circle back to you. In terms of going back to those customer conversations that Kohler is having with integrators, and kind of broaching a category and a place in the home, like, you know, kitchen and bath and appliances and things that, you know, might be a little scary for some of these guys, but certainly, you know, they're working with architects, they're working with designers, they're working with not just the homeowners, but the homeowners, other tradespeople that might be bringing them into project. You know, tell us a little bit about how your conversations go with dealers who, you know, really want to try and make a dent into this category.
Yeah, that's a great question, Arlen. You know, I think there's a few things that Kohler does to really help with this, and that's really around, you know, driving overall awareness and education around our products. And really, for us, that starts actually with the consumer themselves, and really trying to make sure that they're educated and really empowered to make great choices. Now, we actually see the integrators as being key partners with us on that journey. And we offer some specialized tools and trainings to make sure that our integrator partners do understand the innovations and can really be advocates for the products and really on-site resources for those consumers. One of the other things that we have, which we think is a real benefit, is we have an inside sales team that can actually work with the integrators in helping them to specify and purchase these smart home products. And they can actually do that directly through that inside sales team. The other thing that we think is really beneficial is just our ongoing partnership with CEDIA and the connections there and the discussions that are occurring, and of course being on panels like this, you know, and we continue to look for opportunities with CEDIA to partner with them to grow that awareness and drive great programs.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Shane. And I imagine that are you just kind of hearing in general from the dealers that you talk to that they're just maybe even more open, just because of some of the ways that some of the, you know, non-traditional AV and automation categories are really hitting their stride, like right now when we're talking about other kind of things like, you know, lighting fixtures, other wellness related things like indoor air quality, like Michael was talking about. Is it just easier? is it a good time for dealers to kind of get into this?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that particularly with the amount of time we've all spent in our homes the past couple of years, I think the desire to improve the home, I think the desire to really simplify tasks, make our lives easier in any way possible. I think that's a strong desire that's out there. And so I think the time is right for delivering these connected solutions that help to achieve those things. One of the themes that we've used with a lot of our efforts around the smart home is this idea of moments made better. And how do you take products and these connected solutions, again, to simplify what might be viewed as somewhat mundane tasks, but by potentially automating them and making them easier, it really simplifies people's lives. And I think that is it's a hot topic right now, and I think it's something that consumers are looking for, and therefore creating great opportunities for the integrators.
Absolutely, you definitely have to agree with that trend. Michael and Eric, in terms of how you guys are presenting these solutions, showcasing them, talking to those dealers, other partners, home builders, and consumers, what are those conversations like, and how much education is required on your part? Michael, let's start with you, and then go over to Eric to kind of have the same a different perspective on what you might be seeing.
Sure, Arlen. So when we met about a year and a half ago in Texas, I was explaining to people that we're like in the first inning of wellness technology within the smart home, right? And I would say now we're like in the second inning. So we're very still early on. And what I can convey is working with hundreds of dealers or custom integrators across the country is that there are some that are ahead of the curve. They are fully committed to the category. They're doing deep dives on air and water, how to integrate it into the system. But, this requires the same type of commitment any integrator puts into their audio, the craft, building their craft, refining their craft. And so what I can say to the channel is, if you're interested in the wellness category, it's top of mind for homeowners. Like Shane said, post-COVID, people are spending more time. They're more cognizant of the impact of where you are physically. So by spending more time in the home, people are naturally thinking, how can I make sure my home is healthy for my family? And it starts with water and air. And so when we talk about water is specifically what is in the water. How do we keep the things that detract from our health, chemicals, toxins, microbiologicals? How do we make sure that's not coming into our bodies? And then it extends to wellness, bath, and kitchen, exactly where Shane is at. So it really supplements the lifestyle in the home for healthy living. And we can go on and on, but in the end, what I always try to encourage to the custom integrator is have someone on staff that will take the wellness category, make it their own, and allow it to perpetuate throughout the organization. And then you will set your path to being a major influence and making a major impact with your clients.
Right, have that sort of wellness evangelist on staff and really kind of become the expert. That's great advice there. Eric, what about you in terms of the conversations you're having, how you're presenting the solutions? And I believe you have some brick and mortars as well. So you have different needs here and there that you need to kind of show to different people, I would imagine.
Well, I think that the biggest thing is the lack of understanding of what's really in our water and how it affects the day to day. You can go get a water quality report from your city or access it through the EPA, but do you really understand how the ingredients of that water are literally transforming your day to day activities and the experiences you're having? So it's with the brick and mortars, it's, talking to the end consumer in their home, conducting water analysis and let them see for themselves what's really in their water to impact them. With the home builders, it's showing them statistical data that we're generating from multiple databases, multiple testing centers around the country, so that we can curate the right solution, even down to the community itself. Colorado Springs is one city in particularly. The water quality is so drastically different from the northern part of the city down to the southern part of the city. Therefore, it requires different filtration. It requires a real good expert to provide that to them. And then at that point, the builder can choose the right solution at the right price point that makes sense. And then, of course, as Don was saying with the integrators, it's really finding a person or somebody to represent the statistical analysis, the scientific research, and drilling down to the point where you understand what that chemistry is like for your clients, and developing or creating the right proposal with the right solution so that you can provide them a better experience. But I think the biggest thing is if I was a custom integrator right now, I'm going to go back to all of my customers that I'd never talked to about water. And I'm going to talk to them about the filtration and how to enhance the wellness experience in their home and give them peace of mind. I think the biggest challenge we have right now in the water business is that we cannot display the information to them digitally in real time as to what their water quality is like coming in versus what it's like coming out of the system. We have that now with a team of research and scientists based out of Hickory, North Carolina, that are conducting all the analysis for us so that we can provide it to the custom integrators as well, because we are supplying product as well to multiple distributors around the country.
Wow, that's really great to hear about, and certainly sounds very exciting for any integrator who wants to learn about that kind of opportunity, just to be able to really dig in and have that sort of resource. And like you say, it's just to be able to show exactly what everyone is doing on the integration side for their clients or for their builders, or whoever it is that they're working with. Eric, you mentioned challenges. I did want to ask you guys about certain challenges or stumbling blocks to getting into this, whether it is, do you need to have any kind of plumbing background? Are there certifications, other sort of trainings? Shane, let's go back to you in terms of, just your perspective on, what are some of the challenges that integrators need to be aware of when they're entering these types of solutions in this category?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're thinking about the kitchen and bath, you're certainly talking about multiple trades involved, typically, in these installations. I actually think it's an interesting opportunity from an integrator perspective, because I think there's actually a lot of plumbers out there that tend to shy away from these types of products, and they don't necessarily have the expertise on the connectivity side of it. So I think the challenge is figuring out how are you working with with the other trades to make sure that you're delivering that great experience for the consumer that's having the products installed. But I really do think it's a major opportunity if you can partner with some of these, whether it's builders or big plumbing companies that, from a Kohler perspective, they tend to deal with a lot of Kohler product. And if you can go in and form those partnerships so that you're handling that connectivity piece of it, making sure that the products are provisioned correctly, the app set up for the consumer, I think that's actually some meaningful white space for the integrator to get into.
Shane, I would say from the sound of it on my side, it sounds like it has some strong parallels to what we hear at CE Pro, and from what a lot of manufacturers and integrators, I mentioned lighting fixtures before, LED lighting, things like that. It sounds like they have a lot of those same conversations with electricians who, aren't really too keen on installing a lot of this stuff, and they're more than willing to partner with integrators on those opportunities. Same thing with, designers, getting them kind of educated on, hey, here's what we have. Definitely possibilities with the trade partners there. Fantastic kind of analogy, I think. Michael, how about you in terms of stumbling blocks? Is it a lot of just that awareness? Is it learning some of the lingo, or is it, even figuring out like, hey, I've got a showroom, but again, where am I going to install this stuff in terms of like, kind of maybe a enterprise grade water filtration system in my showroom? So what's your take on that?
So the two challenges I usually see as we walk and talk to custom integrators, it's really two components. One is the knowledge base, educational component. For them to speak that language to their clients, they first have to know it. So that involves installing some of these solutions in their own homes and their showrooms. Then you get more familiar with it, you understand the value of it, then you can actually you don't have to sell anything. You just talk about your experience, right? And then the second component is what Shane was alluding to, it's implementation. But whenever we speak to custom integrators, it's like you've already gone through it with lighting and electricians. It's the exact same template. You partner with water treatment folks, plumbers, HVAC trade, and you create a partnership. You handle all the integration to make sure everything is working in concert with each other. And then the other aspect is designers, seeking out designers, architects who focus on wellness as a theme within their projects. They're the perfect people to partner with and get in very early on to be part of that design process and implementing some of these wellness tech solutions. And once you get those things set, then you're off to the races and you can really lead within the channel in this category.
Great. Eric, we've covered quite a bit there. Anything else you'd like to add to that in terms of challenges that you've seen
Sure.
from your unique perspective?
Absolutely. Well, the nice thing is that I have multiple brick and mortars. I've been through what these two gentlemen just described. So we have efficacy and credibility in taking the unknown and the fear. I think it's the fear of a specialized trade. I have to get my hands dirty. And I think the simplicity of it is this: you're providing or proposing a solution. There's trades underneath that. The trades typically will just do their job, and it's up to the integrator to continue to drive the connectivity and help the consumer understand what they're receiving. Also, with water, though, this isn't buy off the shelf type stuff, or even get a typical brick and mortar water treatment company to give you a water softener or just a filter. We are driving the specific science solution to that submarket. And even within the house, we can drive a specific science solution, because maybe the easy part for the integrators to do this, the easiest thing, this is how I learned, is if you just stick to what they're drinking, those are you don't need a license to install a drinking water system. You need a license to change chemistry. You need a license to tap into the main line and backflow prevention and obviously discharge, right? You have to have licenses for those as a master. But to get into the water space as an integrator, focus on what they're drinking, because those are very simple to install. In terms of whole house, then we're talking about getting into the plumbing. So what I drive with the builders, and especially if these integrators are working with a lot of builders, what you do is you drive the builder to just put a standard loop, whole house loop. You loop the interior of the house with a 1 inch or whatever the size of the plumbing is in the garage or in the basement, and it's an easy plug and play. Now your biggest job at this point is to drive the science to a specific solution for that house. Simple. And we have all those. So that's one of the things we're providing to the integrators and brick and mortars and folks like Don, and working with folks that are adopting Kohler's products, that's helping them understand that you're going to have a great experience, but we have to filter it. We have to filter it right.
Eric, in terms of working with home builders, do they have kind of the model home that you wind up outfitting or working into? So they are showing those as standard amenities, as step up options. How exactly has that worked for you guys?
So some builders have their own design centers, which would be either at their corporate office, or they have their sales folks in the field at a sales model. So we display both. We display our products in both. Sometimes they third party it to organizations like Floors Inc. or Weisenbaker or whatever the case may be, and it's up to the builders and those folks to put the products in there for display and to help interact with them. A lot of times it's difficult because the sales offices have in the field, their offices are actually the garage where the water treatment system would go. So what we try and do is showcase through videography and photography, small little 20, 30 seconds videos for the builders to access, because we are demonstrating an experience with water. It's hard to replicate unless you throw somebody in the shower, which is probably not going to happen. So what we want to do is show them through data and through videography, and if they happen to have equipment there installed, obviously you can help them drive that experience. So it's a little difficult at times, but we manage, and however the builder is displaying or providing that experience beforehand, we adopt to it.
Great. The last thing I wanted to kind of wrap up with sort of the roundtable, and Michael, I'll start off with you on this one in terms of other aspects besides just the traditional sales of this category. But is there anything that this category has also opened up or is on the roadmap for your companies in terms of adding a revenue stream through recurring revenue, whether it's remotely monitoring smart water solutions, or getting service contracts, being able to add annual preventative maintenance types of visits, and throughout all of those also being having the opportunity to continue and upgrade clients into other solutions. Michael, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Shane after that.
So we're still a little early, but I do see it happening very soon, where the technology and the ecosystems will be there. Most of the filtration recurring revenue that come from filters, it's all time-based. They give you an estimate like 6 months, 1 year. Who remembers to change out their filters when during those time frames, right? So with the advent of the latest technologies that can track your filtration efficiency over time, the future of management is when you see that degradation of efficiency, there will be a point where you can automatically subscribe and have it shipped out to you when your filter actually needs to be changed. So you're saving the end user a lot of money from buying filters or changing them before you actually need to. And on the flip side, waiting too long before you need to change it. So it's the type of technology that we see in other sectors, but it is coming up very soon. I would say next year, those types of things will all be available to bring maximum value to both CI dealers as well as the homeowners. It's all about efficiency and getting those things done at the right time.
Shane, how about from Kohler's standpoint in terms of, just some of those other potential avenues that this category is going to open up that we haven't mentioned already?
Yeah, I mean, the big one, I think Michael nailed it really, with the filter replacement. That's where that reoccurring revenue is available really today. Just something I'll touch on briefly. It's not specific to recurring revenue, but I think one of the great things that just the overall connected space offers to all of us is getting that better understanding around the consumer needs, and helping us as product developers really figure out what are the next key focus areas that we should be having in order to really develop those meaningful solutions for the consumers. And so it's not necessarily profiting from a dollar perspective, but from a knowledge perspective. And that's something that is critical for us and critical for our success in product development moving forward.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And between the dealers that you work with, the consumers being on part of, a whole bunch of CEDIA education initiatives, that's certainly going to help toward that end. Eric, let's finish off with your perspective on this in terms of, other opportunities that potentially have come up or that see further on down the line, perhaps for your company.
So, both Michael and Shane brought up some great points, and I'm going to just expand on both of them. Filtration degradation is key to understanding when that filter needs to change. You can change it prematurely, or you could change it very late, and you also have to understand how that filter may degrade if it's not being used. Stale water can create a lot of issues with the degradation of filtration. So the question you have to, the integrators have to ask themselves is, what is my filter made of? Because they're all made of something a little bit different, some little less, more or less proprietary. And if it's a synthetic fiber, it can degrade. If it's a patented carbon block with sediment filtration as an additive and even antimicrobials, then they may not degrade it as fast. So that's one thing to look at. However, degradation is key. One of the ways that we measure degradation is two phases: is pressure. If the pressure starts to, if it goes below a certain threshold, let's say 30 psi or 20 psi, we know that filter is starting to clog, almost like an air filter, right, for your HVAC. The other way to understand filter degradation is gallons used. So it's very easy just to get a meter that counts gallons. It's just a little thing that spins and it says, okay, this much water has been used. So, and then displaying that information either to an app on your cell phone or something that just alerts the consumer. So that's one. Secondly, I think Shane hit it really, hit the nail right on the head. And that's knowledge based. And here's the way we create recurring revenue, not for the sake of a dollar profit, but for the sake of giving the consumer the right solution all the time. So we have in our products, which will be released out to the integrators here pretty soon, is we have a resilient vessel that is installed, whether it's point of entry or point of use. And the vessel is not made to become obsolete or degrade. It's for us to be able to innovate the filter that goes inside of it based on the incoming water. So because of our databases and all of our research and our integration with the EPA and the EWG and a lot of different other testing sites throughout the country, we can drive data to us to help us understand if there's a new contaminant that has been introduced into the marketplace that's not being regulated, or if it is being regulated, it's at a much higher concentration now today versus than when it was. Flint is the most extreme example. When you get lead, is at one level that's meeting EPA standards, and then the next day you have another species of lead that's 100 times smaller that nobody was filtering for. So now soluble lead and ultrafine lead have to be considered. Real-time data. So later this year, our consumers are going to be able to access real-time data of their water quality with about a 10% variance that's coming into their home. And we'll have the ability as an organization to update that consumer in real time as to whether their water quality has changed. If the water quality has changed, we need to be able to notify them that there is a change there's a need to change the type of filtration that's inside that vessel to, again, make sure that we're putting the consumer in the greatest the most optimal level of wellness we can.
Right. So it's almost like, you're just able to kind of continually update the firmware of your solution for the consumer.
You have to.
Similar to other categories, sure. Well, on that note, I want to thank our panelists again for providing such valuable insights today. Eric from Elite Water Systems, Michael from Repure, and Shane from our sponsor, Kohler. And again, thank you to our sponsor and to the CEDIA Expo for having this panel today. Again, I'm Arlen Schweiger with CE Pro. And if you want to reach out, you can reach out to us or any of these companies to learn more about these solutions. So thanks again.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.